Let's say, hypothetically, there was a new raid coming out with a new subclass based around movements like a grapple hook. The jumping puzzle is inevitable. What will you do when the time comes? Will you complete it as intended like some kind of nerd, or you bust out Destiny's finest encounter-breaking movement techniques? Welcome to Lightfall Raid Prep, and welcome to every way to skip a jumping puzzle. First, the basics. Welcome to Disjunction. This is the only time this map will ever be useful. Our goal is to cross from one side of this 150-meter wide swamp to the other without getting our feet wet and hopefully without touching Florida. This is Florida, yes, thank you for asking. It's called Florida because it's a peninsula surrounded by swamp and only old retired people go here, typically with pulse rifles. I will rate each movement tech from 1 to 3 stars, with 1 star being a possible small skip that has to rely on Florida, or whatever the jump puzzle's equivalent might be, and 3 stars being an intercontinental flight across the Atlantic Ocean, typically skipping the entire puzzle without stopping. Let's start with some easy to perform but not very powerful choices. Eager Edge is a godsend for crossing large gaps, so it, alongside a few well-timed jumps, are a surefire way to at least get to Florida and beyond for cheap. Unfortunately, we had to talk to some person named Anthony while in Florida, and that just ruins everybody's day, so 1 star. Using Lion Ramparts, a sword, catapult lift, and some ADHD button mashing, it is possible to very narrowly clear the swamp without touching Florida. This is called Titan Flying. The best part about this is that it's pretty easy to do, but it does cost quite a bit of ammo, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it 2 stars for now. Let's get the obvious out of the way. Yes, I am wanted for questioning by the IRS for $17,000 of tax evasion, and Shatter Skate is a gold standard for burst movement. This tech is the closest we will ever get to Microsoft Flight Simulator, so of course, this is an easy 3 stars to set the standard. But me some, I hear you cry out in despair. I am but a poor maidenless guardian that does not know how to do this technique. Even worse, I'm on controller, and my input method severely limits my capabilities. Well, I was just like you walking condom advertisement, but now by simply changing my shadow dive button to down on the D-pad, exactly where my emote is also bound to, and with way more practice than I would like to admit, I am now the speedrunner that people complain about on Twitter, and I could not be happier. To pull off a Shatter Skate, you need to, in this order, heavy attack with an Eager Edge sword off an edge, press jump right before leaving said edge, then immediately follow that with a shatter dive input. It's very fast, but once you get the timing down, it's pretty easy. By the way, if you're worried that binding your emote to your shatter dive button will ruin one or the other, last I checked, you can't emote in the air, so you're good to go. Well skating is like shatter skating, but it's faster and it's cooler because it's on Warlock. 3 stars. Heat Rises is a tad slow and limited by range, but with the help of Icarus Dash, you can make it to Florida and then beyond pretty easily, so 1 star. Combining Heat Rises with your Dawnblade supercharges your AC-130 cosplay with the much needed caffeine needed to avoid Florida. I'm kind of torn how I want to rate this because it's quite a fair distance, but it's also very expensive, so I'll give it like 2.5 stars. Nova Warp in combination with Blink and the Space Grape Astrocyte verse covers as far of a gap with less time than the Dawnblade. Yes, it still uses super, but it's purple, and that's an objectively better color, so 3 stars. Out of morbid curiosity, I tried this with Ionic Blink on Stormcaller, and I swear I heard the song In the Arms of the Angels because of how absolutely pathetic this thing was. -1 star. Bungie, please buff this thing. Winter's Wrath can make the gap, but it has to visit Florida and talk to some dude named Jim who has a toenail collection. Disgusting. 1 star. If you like waiting 7 minutes, Chaos Reach can cross a gap if you make a pit stop into Florida. Still, disgusting. 1 star. Blink is an underappreciated masterwork of movement. By using Blink upwards with your camera still towards the sky, you can swing an Eager Edge sword to change your momentum forwards, then blink again to make it to Florida. The great part is, you don't even need heavy ammo for this. Listen, free trips to Florida aren't that bad. 2 stars. Quick aside, I have been told that it's possible to bubble skate, and it's apparently very fast. But it's a 1-frame window, and for the rest of us grass touchers, we will stick with a sword with Lion Ramparts and a Sentinel Shield combo for 2 stars. What movement tech list would this be without Thunder Crash canceling a ballistic slam? This is easy breezy, beautiful cover girl combo, and it's a friendly reminder that hearing a thunder crash anywhere in a PvP map means that you are in range even if it's on the other side of the map. 3 stars. It's worth talking about Glacier Grenades, Salvation's Grip, and I guess just Stasis Crystals in general, as it's a great training wheels tool for gap crossing. You technically have to do more jumps than a normal skip would, but who am I to judge? And especially if you're helping out new players, this is at least 1 star. While we are testing, we found that Lion Ramparts and Strafe Lift by itself is like a Boeing 737 and has done something many of us can only dream of, accomplish something just for simply existing. 1 star. Ever KO'd your own teammate with a body slam to the spine? Turns out Guardians make great meat missiles, and maybe with some other movement tech, this could be a 3-star combo, so maybe consider yeeting your friend next time you're in a gap. It took me a lot of tries, but it was possible to make it to Florida with Spectral Blades. I don't recommend this, but 1 star, I gotta be honest. Speaking of a wasteful and bad idea, Orpheus Rigs and the 3-shot tether can cross stupidly long gaps by giving you enough time in the air to reset Eager Edge for another swing. With a bit of practice, this could possibly fly all the way over Florida, but I couldn't quite manage that on my own practice, so for right now, 2 stars. Busting out all the weird ideas, you can use Tempest Strike, Blink, and Eager Edge for a surprising amount of speed, but it's costly, so 1 star. At the same time, though, you could just jump and swing like a normal person. Maybe that last one wasn't such a great suggestion. A neat bit of movement tech for PvP, you can actually Eager Edge skate with a Blade Barrage, allowing you to be the B-52 bomber you always dreamed of. If you know how to do it, 1 star. Cycling back around to weird things that surprisingly worked, using Getaway Artist for amplified speed boost works pretty well for breaking and entering into Florida. You can even keep this speed boost for the rest of the trip, so 2 stars. If you like wasting resources for the price of looking like the coolest Guardian to ever exist, with a bubble and a well, you can use the massive repulsion from Prospector to aggressively fling yourself across the gap. It might be possible to optimize this further for more distance, but for right now, 1 star. My disappointment sometimes mentally blocks my cognition and remembrance of this weapon, but Manticore exists. Assuming you have enemies present and were able to get a bit of charge, you can safely guide yourself across an extremely large gap, assuming you just keep tap firing the thing. Works with Blink too, but it is a bit situational, so I'm gonna go and give it 2 stars. I need to come clean. I think with Strand, it's highly likely skating will be removed, just because grapple will be a much more intentional way of actually getting around the map, which Bungie tends to enjoy. But we can at least fill that Eager Edge skate hole in our heart by grappling a Thunder Crash. Eager Edge skate the subscribe button. Bless your faces and deuces.